Good morning, everybody, and welcome again to Hometown Cable. It's Sunday. The program is called What's Going On Here? My name, Bob Venn, Calvin Katstein with the camera, and we're very fortunate this morning to have another well-known face in our area and a businessman for over 35 years, I guess, in our area, Larry Barcomb. Barcomb's Furniture and TV. Your names have changed over the official name.
Barcomb's TV and Furniture Center, Inc.
Oh, is that the same as it was back then?
No, we didn't incorporate it.
Okay.
Until we had been in business 3 or 4 years, I believe.
All right. We're here this morning to talk about furniture in general and a little bit about a person who has been a mainstay in our area and came, stayed, and still here. The phone's ringing, but there are plenty of people here to answer the phone, so we don't have to take the break. Larry Barcomb, are you from the area originally?
Yes, I was born and brought up in Moores, New York. Graduated from Moores High School. And we've been in Champlain. After I got out of the service, my wife Norma and I were married in 1957, and we've pretty much lived here all our lives.
What service were you in? What?
In the Army.
Army. Now, brought up on a farm?
Yeah.
So you know what work is?
Yes.
From early.
Yeah.
Have you ever worked as hard since you've been married? Yes, you would. You would work physically because you have to move a lot of things around.
Oh, yeah. I still work physically in the store here, but not because I have to, but because I want to. Because I want to keep my body in some kind of a decent shape. So I grab a hold of a TV or a couch once in a while.
You don't want any comments about your shape or anything like that?
No,
you don't want me to do it?
I'm in good shape for the shape I'm in.
All right. Well, Larry, you haven't always been in business, obviously. What happened when you got married? What were you doing at the time?
Well, we've been, actually, I've been in business all my adult life, just about. When I got married, I went to work, I was married in June of '57, and in July I went to work for the New York State Electric and Gas as a lineman. And at the same time, my wife and I purchased the Shazy Orchards ice cream bar, and we ran that for 4 years while we were starting our family. And we built a new home out here at Honeymoore's Corners in 1961, no, 63. And we moved out here, and Gas and Electric, I was a lineman with them, and they had told me that I would have to move to Keysville 6 months after I had built our house out here. And there was no way I wanted to leave after just building a new home and everything. So they sort of forced me into going into business, into another business. We had sold the ice cream bar at the time when we built our house, and they forced me into the TV business, and that's how we got into business.
So when you were at that ice cream bar, you were working more than 8 hours a day?
Oh, my goodness. I haven't told you, I also sold cars for Moe's Superman and Moore's at the time.
At the time? Is that right?
Yeah. So. I had 3 jobs: the ice cream bar and selling cars and working for the power company.
Now, who did you marry in 1957?
Norma Pelkey.
From Champlain?
From Champlain. We were engaged while I was in the service, and we got married as soon as I got out in '57. And she's been my partner all my life in business.
And a working partner. I mean, not only in the house, but and besides raising a family. Family of 3 boys.
3 boys.
All right, tell us who they are.
Well, my oldest son, Randy, he's now 38, I believe, or he's going to be 38, I believe, in May. And then Bruce is 33, and Jimmy, my youngest son, Jimmy, is 31, I believe.
Okay, we'll get into them a little bit more, but let you know you did. So along the years, you've had some help with these boys, and they, like their dad, like sports.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Especially my oldest boy, Randy, my oldest son, Randy, he's still into sports, knee-deep. As you know, he's a coach at Shazy at their varsity basketball. He's their varsity baseball coach, and he's into soccer, too. Not the varsity coach, but the JVs. I used to call it JVs, but that's the old days.
Oh.
They call it modified.
Modified now? Okay. Larry, you started selling TVs before you came at this location, correct?
Well, I started selling them next door out of my house.
Out of your house?
Yeah, that was in 1964. We started selling TVs in November of '64. And there's a little bit of a story behind that, is that when I found out I was going to have to move or quit my job with the gas and electric, I thought, well, I had just bought a new color TV, and they were color casting 2 hours a week. Not 2 hours a day, 2 hours a week you could get color. So, but when I saw this color, I was just amazed by it, and I said, boy, this is something that's really going to take off in the near future. So I said I should prepare, because in 3 months' time I'm going to have to move to Keysville or quit the gas and electric, and I need a job, although I was selling cars for Mo Superman at the time. So I called up on the spur of the moment to try to find out where they sold TVs, RCA TVs, because that was the brand I had bought. I had purchased earlier. So I called on a Saturday morning, and I got some warehouse guy at RTA in Albany, which was the distributor for RCA TVs, and I told him, I asked him if there was anyone there I could talk to, and he said, well, no, this is Saturday and we're closed. I'm just the maintenance man here. But he said, I'll take your name if you want me to know, and I'll refer it to the proper people when they come in on Monday. So I give him my name and my address, my phone number, and that was it. I didn't hear anything for about 2 months. So 2 months, and I almost forgot about it. I said, well, then nothing's going to happen from this. Well, a knock comes at the door one evening 2 months later, and the salesman came into the house, and he told me he was from the distributor in Albany, and he had gotten my note that I was interested in selling RCA TVs. Well, my wife took the 3 kids and went down to her mother's to get out of the way. And when she came back...
Was she encouraged to do that at all?
No, she was skeptical about it. And then when she came back about 3 hours later, the guy was just leaving, and I had signed up to purchase $5,000 worth of TVs.
It's $5,000, and in your basement.
And I worked out of the basement of the house and out of the garage.
Now, when you're talking $5,000 in 1961, you're talking a lot of money, and not a long way from probably what you had invested in your house.
No, I had I only had probably about $15,000.
That's what I mean, and you're talking a third of the price of a house, you know.
And she was a little bit upset. Well, how are we going to pay for this? And I said, well, hopefully I'll sell it before it's due. I got 3 months to move the merchandise, and that's how we got started.
Were you sure at that time you were going to leave the light company?
No, I wasn't.
Not really, huh?
Not really, because after 3 months' time, I had to report to Keysville, which I did, and they allowed me to drive it. But see, I was on call 24 hours a day with the power company, and they wanted me to live within 5 miles of the area I was stationed. But you know, I drove for a year and a half to Keysville.
Is that right?
They never did terminate me until I quit, because my business was going so good.
You could have been a neighbor of Gary Finney down there.
Yeah.
In
Keysville. Yeah.
Good friend of, you known Gary for
Gary
years,
for
huh?
years, yeah. I used to play basketball.
Well, you must have been close to the same age group. Are you a little older than he?
I don't want to embarrass Gary.
You don't want to embarrass Gary?
He's as old as I am. I think Gary is probably 3 or 4 years younger than I am.
Okay, yeah. Because he was playing about the time, I guess he was after John Rigsby, yeah. John Rigsby was before. We'll take a short break. We're talking, reminiscing what we're talking about with Larry Barcomb. Barcomb's Furniture and TV, INC, and maybe some other things in there. Okay, Larry, so you're talking, this was about when?
Well, it was 65.
65?
When we opened the store 29 years ago Monday, April 15th of 1967. But I was in business for 2 years, working out of my garage.
And the basement, yeah. That must have been tough.
Yeah, it's tough. I used to get up, but we had. Do you remember Norm Gay? He was a truck driver.
Yes, of course.
Norm Gay would work with me. He would call me up and get here at 7 o'clock in the morning, and we would unload a truckload of TVs before I'd go to work to the gas and electric. And if you remember correctly, I sold a ton of these big 3-piece TVs, a stereo, record player, and TV, and they were like caskets. They were 6 foot long, and they weighed a ton. And I bought these things because I was impressed with them, and I've always felt if you sell a high-end piece, you have more of a markup, so you can discount it more. So it becomes a better value for the customer. And I sold a lot of these. I can remember buying 24 of them at the time. Let
me tell you about one of your sales. I can remember it so well. I was working in Rouse's Point at Customs with Lyle Catlin. And Lyle was close with his money, but he was very cost conscious. And he said he's thinking of getting a TV, but his wife wanted one and like to see the parades on New Year's Day. But he said, I don't know. He said, so I saw him after. He said, yes. He said he came. I guess he came to Barcomb, or maybe when you had to. Maybe you weren't here yet. I don't think. And he said you delivered one to his house just to try it. And he said they liked it so much. It was color, and he said they liked it so much that not only did he keep it, he came back and got a bigger one. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes. Lyle and Mrs. Catlin were good customers.
Yep.
I remember them well. Yeah.
So what you did, that you would do that. That's one way to do it. Get something.
In the old days, you would people just didn't realize how great color TV was, so you had to sometimes bring it out and leave it for a couple of days, and very few of them ever came back.
Mm-hmm.
You had to put them on trial, and they would sell themselves.
How did you deliver these? Did you have a pickup?
No, we had a little van. We had a van. I wish I had a picture of it. My first van. Roger Wilson and Moores. You remember Roger?
Oh yeah, I have his picture here.
He used to do paintings, painted vans and painted signs. And Roger painted this truck up and really painted it up sharp. And this little Ford van, it had big letters across the front. Don't Terry, see Larry.
All right, now right here in the checkered jacket, right here.
Yeah.
Is Roger Wilson, who is Marjorie Norcross's brother.
Yeah.
He was just what a great smile this guy had. And
he was a great guy.
He died at a very young age. What a bad loss. He was married to Eva Jane Howard, and now Eva Jane Wilson, that still lives in the Moores area. And I went to school with him way back in the end. So he painted up your...
He painted up my truck really bright. I mean, we had it red, white, and blue, and green, and everybody knew the truck when they saw it in the area. That's how we started.
Now, you said we. Was there someone working with you? Did you have somebody...
Well, of course, I had Eunice Tremblay, became my bookkeeper a couple of years after I went in business, and she was with me for about 10 years before she left the area. And then... my brother Donnie and a cousin of mine, Harold Shelf, who used to do the delivering, and we had a lot of delivering in those days.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they'd come in every morning.
Okay, there came a time you said, Norma, we've got to spend more money here or something. And she said, well, Larry, what are you talking about? And you said, we got a lot of land, we could build a building, right?
Right.
So
right.
How big did you go when you started?
When we started with this original building, it was 32 feet by 80 feet.
I think you had a picture of that here too somewhere.
I think it was way...
We'll find this along the way here, but we'll go ahead, keep talking.
It was 80 by 32, and we built it, and that's when we had our grand opening, as I said, on March 15th of 1967, 29 years ago, last Monday. I remember opening when we opened.
16th? You said March.
April, yeah, April 15th. And when we opened the door, we pushed to have a grand opening, and we really weren't completely ready. There's a picture of me with my hat on there somewhere, but
Go ahead, Chief.
probably it's over
Maybe
here.
it's over there.
Anyway, the front here was all no, it's in that pile.
Okay,
the
we'll
front
come
was
up with
all was all just dirt. We had just made a gravel parking lot. And there was one huge stone out there in the front that they couldn't get out at the time. And I can remember our grand opening. It was rainy, as it always is in April, and we had a little bit of mud out front, and one person backed up and hung the car up on the back of the big stone in the front yard, which I was able to take out and blacktop the driveway a couple months later. That's the picture
Here's
there.
the picture here of Larry in the store, an opening.
That was before the opening. They just came and took pictures that way. I was working around all over the place, outside, inside. That's why I had the big hat on, I guess.
Okay, a little too close to me together. Go back there, that's good.
Did you sleep well those nights when you were wondering, is this the right thing to do?
I was young. Nothing bothers me in those days. But on the back page, if you
Yep. Well,
Go ahead.
turn
okay.
over the back page, it shows.
There's the interior, and you'll see this unit right here to the right. That's right behind us here. There were two windows where right behind those TVs, you can see them also. That was right here in this area. And then here's the picture from the outside with the dirt.
There was a big boulder here right in the parking lot, and then we couldn't get that out before we opened. And I remember getting Homer Rebidoux from Moore's with his backhoe to dig that out, and then we blacktopped it 6 months or so later.
You know, I mentioned many times, and I want to repeat it. If I know you can't keep anything, but he would be more likely to keep this type of stuff. But there are things that people you know and old papers just are so great to look back 30 years, Larry. At 29 here, 29 years. It's great looking back, good memories.
I was just going over some of these papers this morning when I knew you were going to interview me, and I looked at some of my ads and I just can't believe it. I mean, we had big recliners for $68.
Yes.
You know, the only thing that was expensive back in the early days when we opened was TVs, because it was a new technology. But appliances, furniture, it was unbelievable. We sold air conditioners for $99.
Times, here we go. Here's the ad that he's talking about right here. Deluxe three-way recliner. While they last, they were $119.90, $68.88.
$68.88. Today, the freight on a chair like that is $30.
Well, Larry, you know what this makes people think? That if that's the regular price, if you ever sell it for that, and you can sell it for this, they say you're making a whopping amount of money if you can sell it at the regular price.
Well, companies have a way of putting a high retail on something. I think, very few businesses are able to sell at full retail.
Mm-hmm.
So you use their retail to make it look a little better, I guess. But no, I bet that chair cost me about $50 though, because I was at the time had a great opening special, and I wasn't probably making $15 on the chair.
Mm-hmm. And you had a lot of expenses. And people sometimes forget the expenses and what it costs. And I'm not asking you for dollars, but for you to unlock that door in the morning, or even if you don't unlock it, it costs you a lot of bucks.
$600 to $800 a day.
All right, $600 to $800, whether he sells a piece or not.
That's why it's so difficult today, because of the high overhead, because everything has gone up so much. You know, your lights, look at the electricity, how it's gone up, and then your insurances, hospitalization for the people that work for me, my own family mainly, is unbelievable. It's like $16,000 a year when it used to be like $3,000 a year for everybody.
You know, if you didn't have your family working with you and for you, it'd make me wonder why someone like you would continue with today's. You say you wouldn't.
I wouldn't. If this wasn't a family-owned business, I'd have been gone about 10 years ago.
Because you can't get the turnover of your money like you could.
No, it's a very difficult being in business. We're in business because we're a well-established old business, and we're still in business because of that. I think because of my family, because we're well known. We've been here 30 years, so we must be doing something right.
Absolutely.
And we own our building, so our overhead's low.
But still, you got an investment here.
Oh yeah.
Whether you know,
Right.
and it's an investment that might be hard to recoup. Who would buy a building this size?
It's like you say, it's hard to.
If I were to say I want to go in the furniture business and buy this from you, I got problems, because not only would I have the same expenses you have, and you aren't making a pile of money, but I have to pay on the payments
on the building
and everything else. You know.
Oh yeah.
Buying a farm.
It's like buying a
It's
farm
the
today.
same
Exactly.
difference. It's the same
Exactly.
difference. Yeah.
We noticed yesterday's papers. Now Jerry Boyer is selling off all his equipment on the farm. You know.
I don't know if you realize this, but I had 4 stores open at one time.
No.
And we had to just keep downsizing. After I was in this business about 7 or 8 years, I opened up a store in Chateauguay, New York, which is still open, which I have sold to my 2 brothers. And then I bought Taylor's Furniture out in Plattsburgh. Well, no, before I bought Taylor's Furniture out, I went to the North Country Shopping Center and rented a space there and opened up in Plattsburgh. So I had 3 stores going at the time. And then I bought Taylor's Furniture out, and I kept the Plattsburgh store at the North Country Shopping Center going until I liquidated Taylor's Furniture, and I could move my own merchandise over there. So at one time, I remember one summer, I think it was, 76 or 77, I was working 20 hours a day, I think. I had 4 places going. And then as the economy just kept going the other way, I sold the Chateauguay store because I just had too much, for one thing. I had just too much going. It was no fun to be so busy you can't do anything else. So I sold the Chateauguay store to my brothers, and we had closed the other Plattsburgh store and went down on Bridge Street where I bought tailors out. And then when the malls came in the late 70s, they just about killed the downtown Plattsburgh business, so I closed the Plattsburgh store and drew myself back into my own little main store here, and been here since then.
We'll take another short break and come back, because even though you're out this many miles out of Plattsburgh and you didn't have a Plattsburgh store, say, they were still finding you up here on Route 9 in Champlain.
Oh, in the original days, we did a lot of business in Denimora, Morrisonville,
Okay.
Peru. You know.
Save that. We'll get that when we come back. We'll take a short break. Now, Larry, when you expanded into Chateauguay and went into Plattsburgh, you were going to the people to make it easier for them who probably were buying here in the first place.
Yeah, we had a lot of people from the surrounding Plattsburgh area, from Morrisonville, Denimora, Peru, Keysville. We had a lot of customers that used to drive in.
Right to here,
Right
at this
to here.
location, yes.
Yeah, so we thought we'd pick up more business, especially in the Plattsburgh area, because it's our largest shopping area, and I don't know if we did the right thing by doing that. I think, actually eventually we came back to the original store with all the overhead, the different overhead, the more overhead with renting buildings and so forth. It really probably wasn't worth it if you look at it in the long run.
Well, you never know that till afterwards, of course,
Yeah.
and more don't necessarily mean better.
No, right.
You get to a point where you don't make any money no matter how much more you sell.
Right.
But then you were telling us off camera here that one of your big operations, you were a leader in the area, it was organs.
Yeah, Lowry organs. We sold hundreds of Lowry organs back in the late 70s, early 80s. It was a great product. It was a fun time. People seemed to have money to buy the organs in those days. And the new technology, you had these one-finger chords, and a rank amateur like myself could sound pretty good on the organ just with one finger. And reading ABCs. You didn't have to read music. They made sheet music out with ABCs, and you had a little cardboard thing that you clipped onto the organ keys, and you could play down by the Old Mill Stream or whatever yourself with a rhythm behind you.
And this is what he looked like when he was playing one of those organs down at a home show in Plattsburgh. And he had a bunch of people gathered around. I don't know how much he paid those people, because quite a few of those I recognize here. We have Mr. Angtel from Rouse's Point, and another.
His wife's right back of
His wife right behind him?
Right back of Larry's head.
Right here?
Yeah.
And then there's another couple here that I just can't think of his name. I think it's Ashline, but I can't think of their name right here. Both from Rouse's Point. And they were there, and of course, what about when you went to the home show? Did you get good leads there?
You get very good leads. You never sold a lot of merchandise at a home show, but a lot of people, you brought your biggest and best in merchandise down, stuff that people didn't know that you had probably, and you always got a lot of people that came back in after and said, I saw this at the home show, or I saw that. You brought your priciest merchandise down there, your flashier stuff.
It's not an inexpensive trip to make, is it?
No, well, at the time, I guess you had to buy X amount of dollars of advertising for when the Press Republican ran these home shows. Plus, it was all the work of lugging all this stuff down there, hoping that it didn't get damaged.
That's what I was going to say. Don't scratch that.
While it was down there, and then bringing it all back. But it was worth it in the early days. But then, as everything else, times changes, and we haven't been to the home shows in years now.
What was his nickname at that time?
What was your
What did
nick?
Ball call you?
I don't know.
He don't know.
Denny McClain.
Oh, Denny McClain.
Denny McClain, yeah.
'Cause I used to play the organ and pitch for Butterball, softball.
Now, they say there's a lot of truth in advertising, and I was looking at this myself last night, and it just so happens that he's got it too. But look at this ad from 1974. More Diamond Jubilee savings from your 60-year-old Kelvinator dealer.
I'd be happy to honor that today, but back then
Now,
it
it's
was
22 years ago. That would make this man 82 years old. Doesn't he look good for his age?
Yeah.
What was this? This was
Well, it was a 60-year. Kelvinator was 60 years old, not Larry Barcomb at the time.
Yeah, and that's got to be a great ad. And there's his picture back there in 1970.
But you look at the pricing. I mean, it was $528 for a big side-by-side refrigerator.
Yes.
That same thing today is about double that or more.
Or more.
Yeah.
I was in a place the other day in Rouse's Point, and I mentioned what happened to the $300 refrigerators.
Yeah. I was going through ads this morning here, and I seen a refrigerator for $168 for a 14-foot refrigerator.
Of course, but what happened to the $1.25 painter you used to get too? Larry, the one thing that bothers me when I see all these sales and all these hundreds of TVs you sold, thousands at there, everything has a problem when they don't work anymore. And then you go see the guy that sold you and say, how come, and what? You must have had one heck of a service problem.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of service, and I think that's why we've been successful, is because we have serviced the merchandise that we put out there. You have to service it and do it as inexpensively as you can. We've never made money on a service department. In fact,
you haven't made money.
No, our service has always been for the customer. If anything, we've lost money over the years on service. We've lost the money on the service, but we think we've gained it on good business sense of the people appreciating that they could get affordable service after the sale. And I've got my son Bruce, who's been my appliance technician now for must be 12 or 13 years. Bruce is a great boy, and he's well liked by the customers, and I get more compliments on Bruce than you can believe.
Now, he's your second boy.
He's my middle son, yeah.
And born, you said he's 33, I think you said, right?
So, yeah.
I think you said that. 33 rings another bell in my mind. What happened in either someone's 33 or born in 33? Who was born in 33?
I was born in
That's what I knew. There was a recollection somewhere of a 33. You were born in 1933.
The torch is being passed.
Yes, it is. But you're happy with that?
Oh, yes. I'm sort of semi-retired. I put in my time in the summertime and when all the boys get their vacation, but my wife and I go to Florida for about 3.5 months of the year now.
Mm-hmm. And you've got grandchildren in the store too, and that's nice to be able to.
I've got my oldest grandson sitting over there.
Right
Tim.
over there, yeah. Doesn't he? Now, who does he look a lot like besides his father? He looks a lot like his mom, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And who is his mom?
Kathy Monkitrick.
Kathy Monkitrick.
Back from Barcomb.
Yeah, a lady that really, you should teach her how to play golf, Larry.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know why you haven't helped that lady out with her golf.
I should take lessons from her, probably.
But she's been champion here at Rouse's Point for 4, 5, 6, 7 times.
Yeah, I believe so.
Great
6 or 7
athlete.
times, yeah.
I remember when she played great softball. She was just a good athlete all around.
I can remember her playing softball when they'd have these weekend games, the guys and the girls.
Yes.
And they just couldn't believe it. The guys, they'd put her at third base, and the guys would whack it at her as hard as they could,
Yeah.
and she'd pick it up and throw them out.
Yes, she's the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Irving Monkitrick. Irv and I worked together at Customs for many years. He left in early 80s and went up into Maine, where he was a regional area director up there.
75.
75? Is it that long ago?
Paper right in front of you.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll have to find that. But I didn't think it was quite that long ago. Well, listen, what we got to do now is to take a short break and get to see Bruce, because Bruce is here, service department, the number 2 son, and this is his day off.
This is his day off, but he has to come in.
If you got service problems today, you're in trouble, I'll tell you.
You have to wait till tomorrow.
Yeah, don't have service problems on Wednesday.
Right.
Is that the right
That's
thing?
right.
Can you get, well, I'll ask him that about how quick they can get there on service. We're going to talk with Bruce, and we'll stay with us. He's just as much fun, or even more than his dad. His dad just said so.
Mm-hmm.
We've come into the real area of the store right here. This is where Barcombs gets their business, right here. You're Bruce.
Yes.
Bruce, your dad said 33. Was he right?
34.
34. You moved up one.
Yes.
Bruce, how long have you been in helping with your dad?
Well, I graduated in 1980 and came to work right straight from there.
From Shazy here, aren't you?
Shazy, yes.
Where does Shazy start in between here and Champlain?
School district-wise?
Yes.
It goes up to the McRae Road.
The McRae Road up there. All right. So you graduated at Shazy and started right in here?
Yes.
Where did you get your experience?
Well, I went to both C's for the last 2 years of my high school.
All right, that's great. You know, BOCES was good to you
Yes,
then.
very good.
Got you interested?
Yeah, very interested, and I had a great teacher, Ed Davis, and we went on from there.
There's a good future in many of these type of repair. There's a lot of service work out there
Yes, there is.
for a lot of things. By the way, we got to take a break quickly to show you over here what he's doing while he is working on this. While he's here, look what he's watching. Hometown Cable patronizers right here on Route 9. You can even see that's your brother's team. No, it isn't. All right, that's in Plattsburgh, I guess. So do you go away for courses?
Yeah, Whirlpool has periodic classes, usually twice a year, that they send a factory technician to a localized area, and all the technicians from all the area meet, and it's very informative, keeps you up to date as to what's coming out and so on.
Now, you don't work on TVs, do you?
Not very much. Minor stuff. Not
You do?
major stuff. Just minor stuff.
If used the plug works or a fuse
Well,
is gone.
a little bit more than that, but we have a technician that comes right into the shop for the more specialized.
Yeah, but you can do a few things.
Yes.
Now, do you always bring the appliance here, or can you work them at the
No,
house?
Most of my work is done in the house.
In the house.
Yeah. Most of the appliances are designed to be able to be fixed in the house.
If you were to name how many things can go wrong with a stove, can we say less than 25?
Basically, yes.
You know,
Yeah.
you've got a what do you call
Your
it?
burners,
Burner gone or
switches,
something else.
yeah.
Now, as I look at this unit, I see a lot of strange coloring. Is that something wrong?
No, that's very common. That's
That is?
just the heat from. This is the actual heating element, the broil element, and the bake element, and this is the specialized insulation that just discolors with heat, but it's non-flammable. It's very common.
Uh-huh. Well, we know that if we got some problems with our appliances, we don't want it to happen on Wednesday, because that's your day off, huh?
Well, get one day, yes.
How long, as a general, what kind of a service can we expect? If my stove went off, let's say, tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, how long, if it wasn't anything too serious, you think, before you could get to it? And is there any...
We usually try to give same-day service.
You can do that?
Yeah, if it's in a close enough area where we can get to you, if we stock most of the parts, usually one-day service.
But you're busy, too. You can have 6 or 8 others that
Yeah,
day.
it does happen occasionally. It takes a day or two, but usually we try to, if it's refrigeration, if it's laundry, or something you need right away, we try to get there same day if possible.
All right. And do you have anybody working with you, Bruce?
No, I do it basically all by myself.
All by yourself, huh?
Yep.
You got all your instruments right with you and everything else?
Yep. We have a service van that's all equipped for everything we would need. So.
Now, is this a unit you're repairing, or is it something that you've taken in on a trade?
This particular unit is a trade-in.
Is a trade-in.
Yeah, we're just troubleshooting it, trying to see if it's worth salvaging or not.
Okay, but it was working?
It was working, but it has several problems.
Several
It has
problems,
2 or
okay.
3 different
So when
problems.
it leaves here, it's a guaranteed product?
Yes.
Just like new, practically, right?
Well, basically.
Basically?
There's a basic warranty. I think 30 days is what we usually offer as far as a warranty if anything goes wrong.
Uh-huh. But even though the warranty is only 30 days, that don't mean it's going to go out in
No,
30 days,
no.
you know? And if there's something that you think that's, looks like it's frayed a little bit,
Right.
you just put a new
We
wire on?
go right straight through them from top to bottom to make sure there are no defects or possible problems.
Can I assume that you only do that when you don't have service calls to make?
Right.
This is not a priority?
No, not at all.
Okay. All right. So, do you have, is this, all your supplies aren't in this building?
No, we have
Not this-
several different rooms where we have a room over around the corner that stocks our parts. And, this is just basically a winter area because there's heat in this section of the store.
But that's one thing about your job. Anything you repair is usually inside, so you don't have too much outside work
No.
to do. You like that idea?
Yeah, it's a great idea. Except I do more than the appliance repair. So you end up unloading a truck. It's a small business. So you end up doing a little bit of all the aspects of the business. But
Okay. What's the toughest thing about your job?
toughest thing about my job, basically just keeping everything going and smoothly, keeping customers happy.
You don't find that tough to keep customers
No,
happy?
not usually as a
I
rule.
understand you're a jolly and pretty well liked guy by your people.
Well,
Is that true?
We try.
Huh?
We try.
You married, Bruce?
Yes.
You are?
Yes. Yep.
How long you been married?
7 years.
Okay, and you live right in the immediate area?
Yeah, right in Champlain.
And how many children? Any children?
No, my wife has 2 stepchildren.
Oh,
children.
you
I
have 2 stepchildren, all right. Now, you bought a house in Champlain, right?
Yes.
Where your grandmother used to live? Is that?
No, that's my 2 brothers.
Oh, it's your 2 brothers,
Randy
not
and
you.
Randy.
Okay.
No, I'm not involved with that.
All right. What kind of hours do you put in?
A 40-hour work week normal.
Okay, now some people don't always work good with their bosses. How is your boss with you?
No, no problem at all.
No problem at
No
all.
problem
Huh?
at all.
It's nice to be. It's a great thing to be able to work with your dad. You get a lot of experience. Do you sell also
A little bit.
when you're out
Yeah,
there?
like
You
I say,
can.
you get a little bit of each end of the business. You know, we all cover for each other more or less.
Uh-huh. Now Jimmy is not with the
No.
company, right?
No, Jimmy's on his own.
Okay.
Jimmy's selling insurance.
He's selling insurance.
Yes.
You get your insurance from your brother?
Sure.
There you go.
Sure.
All right. So you're nothing against anybody else. Got to
Oh,
get
no.
that insurance.
No, that's right.
So the whole company here gets it here. He gets a lot of business.
Sure.
Okay. Anything else that you'd like to tell me before you get the rest of your day off? What do you do on your day off?
Oh, all the things I don't get to do during the week, I guess.
Hey, do you have any refrigerators or washer or dryer at your house that don't work perfectly?
No, everything's in
You
top
take
order.
care of your own first?
Yes.
Many
Well-
times, they say,
Yeah,
you know,
the most neglected, yes.
the
but,
most neglected
you know,
is your own self.
Right
huh?
now, everything is working good.
Uh-huh. Okay. So you do your repairing generally in here when you bring it? Just in the wintertime is
yeah,
your
basically,
area?
yes. Yeah.
All righty.
It's easy access. There's a ramp on the other side,
Uh-huh.
and overhead doors. So we kind of use this for both electronics and the appliances.
Okay. What's the most frequent thing can go wrong with a stove like that?
The most common things that go wrong are the burners, receptacle blocks, little blocks the burners plug into, and the surface unit switches and bake and broil elements. Those are your basic things.
I could repair those for crying out loud. You're no big deal. Huh?
Well-
I could repair that if you told me what was wrong.
Sure. Yeah, it's easy to be a parts changer. You have to diagnose is
You got to diagnose it,
a
huh?
little bit different. Yes.
Particularly when the owner is right behind you. Uh-huh.
Yeah, sure.
Do they help you sometimes?
Tell them
They
to
offer.
take apart the transmission on a washer, Bruce, and see if you can do it.
Well, I'm not going to get it. You notice I didn't say washer. You take apart transmissions on washers?
Yeah, we
too?
do everything.
Yeah?
Yes. Washers have had a big step. They have changed the whole concept as how you service a washer now, and it's much easier.
Uh-huh.
Much easier. The whole cabinet can come off a washer with a few clips and screws, and everything's accessible.
Uh-huh.
You can disassemble a whole washer in about half an hour, where it used to take an hour just to change a belt. So there's been a lot of advancements as far as in the
Okay.
appliance field.
I don't get a lot of appliances over the years. I remember once I took off for Washington for a couple of months, came back, my wife had a new washer or dryer from Barcombs, I noticed. And also, last time I took off, I came back, she had a new air conditioner in the window. New refrigerator, a big refrigerator. And I said, well, ours was working fine. She said, well, no, I think we needed another one. And I remember these smiling gentlemen came and delivered it. Of course, it's easy to smile when you're delivering, but we've never had any real problems, never really. I think we had a washer problem one time, but you took care of that very quickly. Well, listen, thank you very much, Bruce, and thank you for talking
Thank
to us.
you very much.
And if you see this smiling man on the street, just say hi, Bruce, and hope you never need him in your house because he's there because something's wrong, and if something does go wrong, Barcombs is the place to call.
Could make a delivery.
He could be making you make deliveries
Make
too?
deliveries also.
Oh, so you don't only serve this?
No, this is
That's
my
right.
my main function, but we do service, and unloading the trucks, whatever
well,
has
then
to be
you'd
done.
want to see him, of course.
Sure.
All right. Now, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, we did one son, and this is not Jimmy. This is not Randy. We're getting further down. Your name?
Tim
Tim. Tim what?
Barcomb.
Tim Barcomb. So that means we just heard that Bruce don't have any children. We know Randy does. So your dad, Randy?
Yep.
And your mom is Kathy. Mm-hmm. Now, you've got a couple sports-minded people there. Are you into sports, Tim?
Yes.
I've seen your name in the paper over the years, huh? How old are you, Tim?
14.
14. Do you play for your dad yet?
No. 2 years from now.
Looking forward to that?
Yeah.
I don't blame you. That'd be great to be with your dad. I was mentioning to your dad one time, in that league you have, there are several people who played for their dad. I remember the Jakes brothers, from down in,
Yeah.
they played for their dad on is it Westport?
Willsboro.
Willsboro. All right, so what are you doing here in the store, and how come you're not in school?
We have this week off for April break, spring break.
Okay, you need a break, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, tough in school, huh? When I used to get a day off, I didn't like it when I was in school, because you know what I had to do when I was not in school? Work on the farm. I bet Larry knows what that was. And I used to pray for rain sometime. And then it would come, and I'd have to work twice as hard to pick up what we should have done the day we were off. So how often do you come to the store?
A lot on Saturday I come delivering with my dad, and almost if I don't have practice after school, I'll come over after school.
What are you doing here?
I just.
You do any selling?
No, not really.
Not yet, huh? Are you in the way?
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, I bet you these people here are probably a lot better to you than they were their own sons, because you're pretty special, right? You bet you
Yes.
your grandmother then must love to have you over here, huh?
Yeah.
You betcha. You're getting good training, too. Any brothers or sisters?
I have one brother, Mike.
How old is he?
He's 12.
Is he ever in the way? Is he always trying to tag in your tail?
Sometimes. I don't
Sometimes,
mind it.
no? You get along good?
Yeah.
Never fight, obviously.
No.
Your grandfather never fought with his brothers.
I don't know.
That happens sometimes.
Yeah.
So what do you do when you go with your dad? You got the strength to lift up some of this stuff?
A few items. Not a lot, but
Uh-huh.
a couple items.
Yeah. You looking forward to where you can work in here and get paid? Hey, they'll give you some money, huh?
Yeah.
Did your grandfather go to your ball games?
Yeah, as many as you can.
As many as he can. The trouble is, when you're playing ball, he's in Florida. And they go down to Florida during the winter, huh? What's your favorite sport?
I like basketball.
Aren't you pretty good in Little League too, baseball?
Yeah, we went to a couple tournaments up in Keysville and got 3rd place.
I thought that I've seen your name in the paper and I've heard a little bit about
Yeah, we
your
won
play.
our elementary league a couple times.
Uh-huh.
So we had a picture in the paper, team picture.
So what year in school?
8th grade.
8th grade. Next year you're a freshman. And freshman and sophomore you have to be in the JV or just 1 year?
There's no JVs. It's next year I'll still be in modified. Then the year after that I'll be in
It's
varsity.
modified. There's no JVs in that league at all?
No.
It's modified.
7th through 9th and 10th through 12th.
I think your grandfather mentioned that a little while ago in the Calvin they were talking. And then you go into the varsity,
I'll
huh?
be with my dad.
Yeah, your dad. Yeah, your dad last year went, not this year, but last year went all the way to the end, right? He really had a great team.
Yeah, Section 7.
Not that he didn't
championships.
have a good team this year; it just didn't work out as well for him. I guess they didn't.
No.
But they still had a great team
Yeah,
this year.
They're pretty successful.
Very good.
Accomplished what they want to
You
accomplish.
don't have to win to have fun.
No.
If you don't believe that, ask your grandfather. He didn't win them all either, you know. Listen, and you know something about being a pitcher? You get credit if you win, but you don't, and you really get credit if you don't win too. They jump all over. It's like being a goalie in
Yeah.
hockey, you know,
For soccer.
or soccer. If you're the goalie, you're the winner, but you also lose, huh? You play soccer?
Yep.
What position?
Goalie.
Oh, you know what I'm talking about? Everything's on your back, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, my son was the goalie too. All right, well, listen, thank you very much for talking to us, Tim. 14 years old. Look at this. I'm at least 3 times his age, at least. And look at here. This is going to be a big kid. You're going to be still growing, huh?
Yep.
Your dad is close to, what, 5'10", 11?
Just about 6 foot. Yeah.
He's just 6, huh? Well, good luck this year, and you're in good shape here and everything else, huh?
Yeah.
Thanks, Tim.
Okay, thank you.
Larry said it, and we all know that behind every successful man, and you'd have to say that Larry Barcomb's a successful man, is a successful woman who plotted him along because she wanted him to buy her something, and she kept pressuring him. And it's Norma.
Right.
Norma Pelkey Barcomb. Norma, you graduated from our local school?
Right. In 55.
55. You don't want to be careful. It'll give your age away a little
I
bit.
think that kind of.
He already mentioned. I thought he said you were married in 57. Oh, that's all right. Oh, I thought you were going to tell me you were born in 55, and I figured that's only 2. She was.
Oh, it would be nice.
Now-
Bob, but
We want to know what made you think that you wanted him to buy that $5,000 worth of TVs that he told us about.
well, it was quite a venture
I
at the
bet you.
time,
Listen, that's a lot of money.
and it was something to get into without realizing what was coming. But it was the beginning of what we're doing today.
Now, Norma, people today have children at home, are working, and you got to give mothers particularly a lot of credit because they work all day and they go home and they work all night.
That's right.
Now, in your case, not only did you work and take care of the children, you had them with you when you were at work, huh? So they grew up in the business
They
with
grew
you.
up in the business, exactly.
Uh,
It's not easy, but it can be done. Yeah.
But I imagine being with them like that, and when you took them to restaurants, it wasn't as hard as it is for me with my children because they knew how to act with people better.
Oh, definitely.
Huh?
Yeah.
That's gotta be
all
an
of them.
advantage
Right,
now.
Right.
And what a joy it must be to see this young man we just talked to, Tim, being over here with you for how many years now? He's 14.
14,
He's been here all 14.
All 14 years. Yep. Have the family around us at all times.
And he's always a joy to be near. Always.
Always.
Always, right? Yeah.
Always.
Does he like your baking and cookies and
Oh,
things like that? He
yes,
does, huh?
he does. But his mom's an excellent
He's
cook.
an excellent cook. He likes your turkey, he said, too.
Oh, yes, yes.
Norma, being married to Larry Barcomb for 20, well, not 20, we know it was 20, and it's another, since 50, it's 20, 42 years?
30,
32? 38 years. 38 years has to be an experience because this man is an experimenter. He's been a pilot.
Uh-huh.
He played ball.
Right.
He thought he could bowl, and he
Right.
could.
And golf.
And golf, sponsoring all these teams.
Right.
So you're even though it's his, you're in every one of those,
yes, yes. It's never dull around here.
Mhm.
Ever.
So you do it again?
Oh, yeah.
Hmm?
Oh, yeah.
Are you getting tired?
Yes.
You are.
No, I don't mind working part-time. I just, we get away for the winter,
Okay.
so we can't really complain.
Well, now I wanted to tell you, I have won a trip for two to Scotland to fly. And my wife don't want to go. Would you fly with me to Scotland?
No.
Well, why would that be?
That's too far.
Too far. You don't like to fly,
No,
right? I can
no.
remember years ago when Larry was winning a lot of contests
Oh,
here.
yeah.
You've done your share. And you didn't go on some of those trips with him,
No,
huh?
I missed a lot of trips, yeah.
You flying now, though,
Yeah,
right? You go
but
to Florida
Only
or
because...
stay home,
That's
one or the
right.
other.
That's exactly what I... And 4 or 5 hours is okay, but
Mm-hmm.
other than that, I don't know. I haven't been to Hawaii yet, and I think Larry's been 3 times.
You know what I told Annabelle Ashline? She was mentioning she don't like to fly and she wanted to go, I think it was to Hawaii. And I said, well, look, you're always within 10 miles of land. Well, she said, not when you're flying. I said, of course you are. Well, she said, where? I said, straight down.
Down. Well, that's true.
That was years ago. She didn't like to fly either, she said.
I don't like it, but I tolerate it. I guess
All
that's
right.
the way to put it.
Everybody has a job. Tim maybe to sweep and show people where the chairs are and so forth, and Larry to be the big boss, he thinks. Except being the big boss, what do you do here?
What do I do?
Generally,
Well,
what is your job? Or,
just about anything that needs to be done. I do the billing. I do the banking. See, I like to take care of money. As you can see.
but you
and
don't like to
wait on-
deposit. Women don't like to deposit,
Oh,
like
I
to
don't.
withdraw.
Well, I can do both.
You
I have
okay?
no problem. And wait on customers and
Mhm.
clean and whatever needs to be done. Everybody shares around here. There's no set, I do this and you do that. Everybody does everything.
Mm-hmm.
So we've gotten along quite well.
You have only one outside employee right now than your family?
Just Andy.
Andy Morelli, and he's like a family. He's
Yeah.
been here for how long with you?
Over 20 years.
Over 20 years, so
Yeah.
it's like that. So it isn't like if you had an employee and said, well, now, who am I going to listen to? Two bosses don't always think the same. It's tough to work for two bosses,
Oh, yeah.
a husband and a wife, because there's usually, if there's an argument between you two, they get in the middle sometimes. So, but with Andy, he's different. He is a part
He's
of the family, right?
right,
Just
right.
like family.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have just a part-time delivery man that comes in if
Mhm.
we need him.
Mm-hmm.
But we're down to mostly the family.
Mm-hmm.
We have outside carpet people.
Yeah.
Right. Now, carpet people, you mean when you sell a carpet, you hire someone to install just that carpet?
Yeah.
Right,
You pay him by the yard to
Right.
install it.
right.
And I have no control over who I want to install it?
Well, you can have anybody you want install it. We don't. If you want to install it yourself, you can. Or if you have a friend that's a mechanic, you
Mhm.
can. But we job out or contracted labor is what it's called for all our carpeting.
Mm-hmm. Do you have more than one at the time?
No,
Any
we
given
have
time?
one man that's been with us for over 10 years now, Alan Whitney, and he's very good and he's
Mhm.
very reliable and he's sort of like us. He's got his family into the business. He's got 2 or 3 sons that help him with carpet.
Mm-hmm. I would think that's one of the most important things. It's not just the carpet; it's putting it in right.
Oh,
huh?
definitely.
And,
Yeah.
It's like service. It's the same thing as service on appliances and TVs.
Mhm.
You got to have proper people to install carpeting, to do it right.
Mhm.
And if you have a problem later on, if something comes loose, we go back and take care of it.
Can you take a day off when you want?
As long as there's no
As long as nothing important
as
coming
long
up. huh?
as there's no golfing that day, I can have my day off.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, Dave, because I'll tell you, Kathy also is a golfer. She's still
Oh,
golfing as
yeah.
much as usually. She's a great golfer.
Yeah, very good.
And Larry's does too.
Yeah.
He keeps saying he is. I don't
Well, I got a
know.
hole in one once.
You got a hole in one?
Yeah.
Hey, listen, you're talking about hole in one. My daughter got one from the tee on a par 4.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, now that's a double eagle. Now, when I talk about hole-in-ones, now that's a real hole-in-one. She pretty good notoriety for that. Loves golf too. She loves golf. All right, Norma. One person takes care of all the paying the bills, getting in the items, and sending all the bills out. You can do that. That's a pretty near full-time job, isn't it? Huh?
Yeah. It keeps three of us busy
Kathy
here in
does
the
a lot of
office.
that,
Yep.
too.
Kathy and Andy. I mean, there's
Yeah.
a lot of bookwork
Is
involved.
Kathy here a lot?
Oh yes.
She's here a
Yeah.
lot also.
Yeah.
Well, so right now, this is one reason why you're in, like you say. This is taking care of 3 families, right?
Yep.
2, and they're all Barcombs. Well, 4, Andy too.
Yeah.
That's 4 families, assisting. At least his wife works out, but that. And this is what businesses are for, the IDA said bring people in to work, and you've been here. And we talked a little bit earlier about businesses that have come and gone. In looking at one of the papers to get one of your ads, I came across an ad. Let's use an ad. They're not in business anymore. Rams. Now, Rams in Plattsburgh had a big thing going in TVs, smaller appliances, right? Major appliances too, on Margaret Street. And they were in business probably a total of 6, 7 years maybe. And I imagine took a lot of business away from you. They had some pretty good prices. They were cutting, but they're out now, right? But during that period, I don't know how much money they were making, and certainly you weren't making any of what they were selling.
Well, no, you can't. You just can't get all business. I mean, Plattsburgh is 20 miles away, and there's always been somebody down there. It was Scott's Discount, and the Grandway was there for years. They were
Big competitor of yours?
They were our major competitor was the Grandway, and they were a big store, and we still held our own with them. But as soon as somebody leaves, somebody else comes in. It seems they always think it's a get-rich-quick way to make a lot of money, and it's really a lot of hard work if you're going to make money, and you don't do it overnight.
My question would be, when you buy something from a store and they go out of business, what happens to the service?
You don't get any. And that's the whole problem. Unless the deal is good enough, where they really drop the prices down below wholesale costs or something, then if you have to have service, you pay for it, and you're still okay. But what really aggravated me more than anything, Bob, was a few years back, these trucks from South Carolina would come up here from the furniture heartland of the country. They'd load a truck up and they'd sell off the tailgate here in Champlain, New York, or in Plattsburgh, New York, and they would rob the people. They would sell them inferior merchandise first. Secondly, they would steal the sales tax, and it was very aggravating to me as a long tax-paying customer of the town and the village and the state to have these taxes just be swiped away from us, and plus taking the business. If they could collect the sales tax, they would, and that New York State never got one penny of it.
No.
And they operate off the tailgate. Here I am paying land taxes and state taxes and everything else. It's impossible to compete with these people when they back up to the parking lot and unload reclining chairs and that. They got no overhead at all.
The unfortunate thing about this is that myself and Calvin and other buyers don't even think about this. Yeah. We don't think about your taxes and all of that when we buy things. Let's admit it. And I'm not so sure that you did when you were buying things if you weren't in business yourself and thinking about this. It isn't uppermost in their mind. You're thinking of a good price today. It's never going to have service problems, so I'll buy it.
Yeah. This is thankfully this is gone. These people have wore their welcome out. And they used to rent rooms at the Holiday Inn in Plattsburgh and so forth and put this merchandise in for a weekend. But it's all part of business.
Okay, we're going to... Norma, what else do you want to tell us?
Nothing much that I can think of.
Norma is on our committee for the... let's take a short break. He's on our committee with the Champlain High School, Champlain Central alumni, and we'll talk a little bit about that and a little bit more about Norma in just a moment. The only non-Barcomb in the whole store right here today. And the name?
Andy Morelli.
Andy Morelli, yeah. I think that once in a while I call you Albert and I call your dad Andy. I do. Listen, I want to ask what you do here because Larry does most of the work in the store. She does all the office work. Bruce does all the service work. What does that leave for Andy Morelli?
I just hang around. I
Huh?
just hang around.
20 years you've been hanging around. They haven't decided.
That's right.
What's your main?
Base bookkeeping. I do bookkeeping.
Uh-huh.
Do help delivering, set up, clean the place. You
Sell?
name it, we do it.
You sell?
Oh yeah, sell too. Yeah.
Who's the biggest seller for the furniture? Are you big in
Larry,
furniture? Larry, that too?
Oh, yeah.
And the carpeting? That's Larry too?
Oh, Randy too. Randy sells a lot of carpet.
Mm-hmm. But you could sell just about anything in here?
Oh yeah.
I don't mean with you got to go ask questions, but you were,
Oh, yeah.
as a general rule, you do sell.
Mhm.
Okay.
You do everything here, Bob. Everything.
You do everything, huh?
You have to do everything. Everybody does everything.
Mhm.
No one really has one job. I mean, everyone does a little bit of everything.
You feel like an orphan not being a Barcomb in here?
No.
To make you feel at home?
Yeah, I feel right at home.
You-
Because very similar to my father.
He is?
Oh yeah. If you did something wrong, you know right away.
You know right away if something goes
Just
wrong?
like Albert.
Just like Albert?
Yeah. So I feel at home.
Yeah, well, I would usually do they pick on their own family first, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's easier to pick on your own son than on.
Yeah, no,
I mean, he's just like a son.
that's what don't make no
I
difference.
know he is. Yes. Did you ever play ball with that guy at all? With
Yeah.
him?
I always told him that. Before, I used to play for the KCs.
Yeah.
And then after I started working here, we started Barcomb's TV. I don't know what that was, 74, 75, somewhere in there. And I said, ever since I started that, I lost 200 points off my batting average because I never got to bat against him anymore.
Well,
He
that's
used to
right.
pitch for Ross's Point.
Yes, yes, and you could hit him so
Oh,
easily, right?
Easy,
That's
real
right.
easy to hit.
Huh?
Who can't hit him?
Yeah. I remember my first hit ever in Lake Champlain slow pitch.
Yes, against me?
Riley Ford, you were pitching for Riley Ford. I hit a line drive. It got you right about there. You fell down, and I ended up at second base, and then they come and rolled you over.
And they came roll me over.
Yeah.
And they, listen, you know, we used to have a great time.
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
We had a great, and you didn't have to win all the games.
Oh, no.
We really had competition. It was very good. You knew all the players. When I played basketball in after I got out of high school, you know, we would win 60% of our games, and was very, very happy. We didn't have imports and all that. And you've done your share of sports. Graduate of St. Mary's.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of losses, I know we had all moral victories. I mean, I graduated from St. Mary's, and I think my senior year wasn't too bad. We finally got out of the Catholic League in basketball, and we're in the Clinton County Interscholastic League, and we were over 500 anyways. I can remember at least we had some wins, but it was kind of discouraging. I can remember playing in that Catholic League and going down to St. John's and Mount Assumption and teams like that. I mean, we'd get beat by 50, 60 points all the time.
When my wife was in high school, she was a cheerleader, and I don't think any of her teams ever won a game. I said, you were a great cheerleader. You didn't give much. It just didn't have the, the numbers, against the or the abilities up here. We didn't have the. Maybe it was the coaching. I'm not sure. Great defensive teams in Plattsburgh. It's very tough to compete against.
Yeah.
Okay, Andy. 20 years they said you've been here.
It'll be 24 in August.
Ever work anywhere else?
Never.
Never. This is it, huh?
Well, I shouldn't say that. I worked at the laundry, when I was in college.
Yeah,
for
but
Kennedy.
basically this is your.
This is the only full-time job I've had, yeah.
Uh-huh. So we get right down to you owe a lot to the Barcombs.
Oh, yeah.
And they talk about, I earn my money, and they every penny, but that's not the point. There's been slow times here
Oh, yeah.
when they could have said, we could take a cut, we could cut an employee off, and
Sure.
because that's all out of our own profit, and we don't have the profit. They can do that. No matter how important you are. They can always replace anybody. Let's face it.
That's
They
right.
did it when I retired. They're going to do it when you retire. But as long as they've been good to keep you here.
Sure.
It's been good for them, but it's been good for you.
Mm-hmm.
You have how many? You're married. And
I'm married to Diane Racine, Morelli, rather.
Yeah.
And I have two sons, Scott and Matt,
Both also following your footsteps with sports.
following their own footsteps.
Their own
Not
footsteps.
my footsteps.
Not your. Oh well, they got to live up to their dad a little bit too, though. Morelli's name has been good in sports in the area for a long, long time. And they played with with NCCS this year.
Yep.
What years are they in?
Scott's a freshman and Matt's a junior.
Okay, so I got another 1 year and 3 years left to go
Yeah,
between them. Huh?
One more year for Matt and 3 for Scott. Yeah.
Mhm. Diane does what? She's
She
working.
teaches second grade at Moore's Elementary.
Ever think of teaching yourself? You ever think of that when you were in school?
back in the 70s, nobody wanted to teach
No.
that. No, everybody.
Why was that, Andy?
Money. Very simple.
Right.
Nobody was being paid nothing back then.
Okay. What can you tell us about the business here that we haven't heard yet? I know you haven't been through it all year, but
Well, over the years, it's changed considerably. When I first started here, I mean, we had 2 stores. There was Chateauguay and this store.
Mhm.
Then shortly after he was here, he bought a store in Plattsburgh.
right?
Well, we didn't buy it. We would Grants, where
Yep.
the old Grants used to be.
Yeah.
And at times, I mean, we had 3 stores going, and it was busy. It was really busy. But now, we've tuned back. You have to watch yourself. You know, business like this now, it's buying. Basically, it's not only selling; it's buying that you can get yourself. But it's, you know, you just have to be able to do everything. That's the only way you're going to survive. And he owns his own buildings and everything. That's the main thing here. I mean, we couldn't be in a mall and have big rents and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It'd be impossible.
There was a time here when you think of Barcombs and you thought of that whole northwest corner there with the TVs and all your, you know, that big. And then, of course, the appliances are big, and now furniture and carpeting. What do you say is is there a biggest section of the 4? If you went appliances, TV, furniture, and carpeting, where's the most action?
Now?
Yes. Take today versus,
Today versus 15 years
Yeah.
ago? Furniture and carpet.
Furniture and
versus
carpeting.
TV and appliances,
Okay.
and it's just natural with the.
Okay.
But everyone thinks this store is Barcomb's TV. It always has been.
Yes.
And it amazes me that people come in here and they come to the front, and then they start walking. But gee, we never realized it was this big. You know, no one realizes when they go by here how big the store is.
Yeah.
They all just think of the front. That's all.
Well, that was the original building. How do you think you can get people to understand this? What do you do? Advertise, but people don't always watch advertising unless they're looking for something. They watch it, but they don't always hear completely.
You can advertise. It's word of mouth, basically. It's keeping the customers you have satisfied, and it's the service part now. I mean, people can go Walmart, Sam's, you name it, TV and appliances. You have to give that extra service and be a little more polite and set them up. And I mean, we get service calls. I give you an example. We go to somebody, their VCR's unplugged. You know. No, we do, and don't charge them nothing. Now, some people get charged for that, you know. People call up, they have problems, we take care of their stuff, okay? But not everyone does that. You have to have little problems like that and be able to do all those things if you're going to survive in a business like this. I mean, now, because it's so competitive.
Is it raining that hard out there?
No, it's
Oh.
between the buildings here we have tin.
Okay,
Because
yeah.
it used to leak in between, it sounds loud.
Okay. Sure does sound loud. Well, Andy, what's coming up in the future for Andy? He's got to start putting some money away for colleges here. Huh? What do you do?
Yeah, I know.
Huh? The price of colleges are scary.
What do you mean, what I do?
What are you gonna? What do you start to? Well, you got to start getting a financial plan, and no.
Oh, yeah.
You work on it. All right.
We a little bit here and there, and of course we
Alrighty.
went to...
Very good. Well, listen, Andy, 20 more years of employment for you here at Barcombs, we hope. You don't want to work that many years?
No, not 20 more years.
Okay. Andy Morelli, you can talk to Andy, you can talk to Norma, you can talk to Kathy, you can talk to Larry when you come in here, and or the other boys are here too, right? Bruce in here once in a while.
Yeah.
Okay. Come to Barcombs, and as he says, don't just come in the front section. Come down these 3 stairs. There's a lot of things going on back here. And you still have an upstairs, too?
What?
There's upstairs and another section over there that all kinds of... You see mostly stuffed furniture in here. There's lots of wood items over there, and there's big clocks in the front. We'll look around a little bit more. Thanks for watching Hometown Cable. Program is called What's Going On Here? My name is Bob Venn, Calvin Castine with the camera. And every day, Hometown Cable brings you new and different things. 5 times a day, watch the same program, 12:30, 4:15, 8 p.m., midnight, and again 8 the following morning. If you're like history, you've heard a lot of what's been happening here, and not much of current, and not much of what the plans are in the future. So let's take a tour around Barcombs, and if you don't know what's here, we hope you will when we get finished. And again, I want to repeat, because we're not here today, and as we've said before, to advertise for Barcombs TV. We're here to talk about furniture in general, the nice people we're here to talk about. We say this to all our people. Watch the advertising. That's what advertising is for. We're here to promote the people and what's happening in the industry of TV and everything else. Give this man and everybody else who's in business a chance. Whenever you buy anything, they want you for a customer. They'll do right by you. Correct?
Right.
All right. Show us what you got in what's new today, Larry, as we go around.
Well, this is probably the best buy in merchandise today is electronics. We looked at these old ads this morning, and appliances were really cheap, and furniture was really inexpensive, and TVs were expensive 20 years ago. But new technology has made TVs the best buy on the market. You can buy big TVs for a big console TV for $4.99. The same thing would have been double that 20 years ago, and an inferior TV than what it is today.
Mm-hmm.
So we sell a lot of the big screen and big type merchandise today because there's so many outlets for the small stuff, the 19-inch, 13-inch merchandise. But we sell big 60-inch projections, 52-inch projections. This beautiful 35-inch console that has all the features that you could possibly want. And then the other latest technology in the electronics field is the satellite systems, the new RCA little small 18-inch satellite dish, which is functioning over there. This gives people a chance to really broaden their viewing power. They can get up to 100 stations on this thing, and
This is for people mainly who are not on a cable line,
Right,
or on a cable line and want to have their own. That's possible too.
It's really good out in the country where cable isn't available.
Mm-hmm. So you don't see the normal antennas. You haven't sold. You still sell antennas?
No, we don't
The
sell
oral Yagi antennas.
No, because most people have cable today. If it's available, that was 90% of the area, and the other 10%, I guess, or 20% that's out in the country have gone to satellites.
Remember when you install those big antennas
yes.
with the guy wires and everything,
yeah.
climbing and all that over the years?
The rotors and the
Yep.
freezing up in the wintertime.
Yeah, all of that. So you have 10-inch up to...
Up to 60-inch. We just sold our last 60-inch projection, but this is a 52-inch projection over here.
Okay. Now, when you say projection, you mean from the front projection?
Well, it's projected with mirrors. It projects with mirrors up onto a big screen.
Uh-huh.
And these things have been vastly improved over the last few years. I mean, the picture quality is great on these big projections now.
Is this part of the unit?
No, that's just a
unit.
That's a case. That's a wall unit that the big set fits into. You don't have to buy the wall unit.
Uh-huh.
There's different ones. There's another wall unit, a smaller one over there.
Okay.
And then we have the freestanding consoles over there.
Now, because we see RCA, and you started with RCA that many years ago, it don't mean you only have RCA. I saw a sign here for Panasonic.
Yeah, we have Panasonic, we have Sony, RCA, and GE is our main lines, but RCA has always been our major line. We started with them 32 years ago, and we think they're a great company, and we love the product, and we think it's priced right.
Okay, VCRs you have, and you have the stereo systems.
Oh, yes.
All right, well, what I wanted to mention while we're talking TVs is I wanted to mention that in 1975, now I'm going to have to get over here, Calvin, and get this. There was a big ad in the paper, and I came to Barcomb's. We were looking for some bedding, and we didn't even stop here. I had 10 TVs, I guess, at the time, and that's 21 years ago, and as we started back looking for the bedding area, I met a guy named Harry Mayette.
Yeah.
And Harry Mayette said, Bob, why don't you come over here, look at this TV? Why don't you buy this TV? And I said, what's wrong? What TV? And he said, this TV right here. Look, it's got 3 pictures in one TV. You could watch 3 different shows at the same time. I said, you're kidding. I said, how much? He said, it's a $6.95, but it's on sale for $3.75. You interested? I said, yes, I am. And my wife said, you crazy. I said, all right, I'd give you $300. And he said, no way. I said, well, hey, I don't need it. He said, let me go talk to Larry. And so he went and talked to Larry, and he came back and said the best he could do was $350. I said, I'm sorry. I would give $300, but I wouldn't give a penny more. I just don't need the TV. I don't need that. It's a toy, and a very interesting toy. And you've been here, for, I guess, for a couple of years, eh, Larry?
You want to know what I paid?
Tell
for
me
that?
what you paid for
I
it.
paid over $600 for that wholesale.
Okay.
But it was a novelty item. It was something that it created a lot of interest. I heard people talking from Keysville. They'd come in or Peru and say, "Oh yeah, that's that TV we heard about." There's a story behind that was built for Lyndon Johnson when he was president. Sony Corporation built this because Lyndon Johnson liked to watch the 3 networks at night on the news. And so they built this one unit. It's 3 different TVs, but he could control it all with a remote, and he could watch the whole 3 networks at one time.
What it did, you'd push the button on your remote, and it would turn it on with no sound. Then you'd push the button, and you'd get the sound from picture 1. And if you push the button, you'd get sound from picture 2, and it would drop off number 1. And then it would go to number 3, and then it would go off. So you could watch 3 pictures and listen to 1 only. So I think I bought a mattress or a box set that night, and as I'm leaving, Harry said, "You sure?" I said, "I'm sure." $300. He said, "Nope."
You bought it though, so you must have. I don't know.
Oh, the best part is yet to come. Within the week here, this was on, I got the date on here. It was April 24th, I think, 26th. There was this big ad in the paper for a big sale, 10th anniversary. So you knew it was, all right? And he had it on sale. Look, right here. Sony 3-in-1 TV, $298.10. I was in here within the hour, and I bought it at $1.90 less than I offered this man right here. And I got a big kick out of that. And my wife said, "You're crazy." I said, I just want it, that's all. So it was
You better
$298.
keep that because that's going to be worth some money someday. I bet there wasn't over a dozen of those ever built.
Well, I still have it. And so when I was going home, I said, "Larry," he said, "I should have took the $300. I said, "Yes, you should have." But I said, "I've got $1.90 on you that I owe you now." I said, "Larry, I'm interested in only one reason. It's got to work at my house with 3 pictures." And this was 1975. You didn't have the things we had. And he said, "No problem. If it's not what you want when you get it home as far as pictures," he said, "you can bring it back." And that's something that you get at Barcomb's. Even though I was getting it $1.90 less than I paid, he wanted to be sure that I was happy with it. And I have been happy with it. And to prove that I bought it right here, on the 26th of April, $298.
Is that my writing?
It probably is.
It looks like it.
And you know, I do keep records, and I do have a file on this, and I still have it. And I used to keep it in my basement on top of a 25-inch TV I had, a floor model. And I used to watch 3 pictures, and I used to sit there in my basement, and I would watch it, and I remember I'd be watching 3 programs, and get one sound, and all of a sudden, I was listening to something else. And I could not figure out why it was changing. So I'd go switch it on my button, and I was watching, and all of a sudden it changed, and I realized that when I sneezed, I was going through sneeze, it would change it because of the sound, or the effect. Yeah. Whenever people would come, they'd say, "Well, what do you do for sound?" And I'd sneeze, fake it, and I could make the channels change. And then all of a sudden it stopped working, and I couldn't get it to work anymore, and no one could fix it. So now what I did, I got in the back, and I disconnected all of the buttons, and I now have the set working with 3 TVs and 3 sounds. And I turn them up at different volumes, and I can watch one story, and they're black and white. Yeah. But it's been a very interesting, and I've got a lot of comment about it. It's been a lot of comment.
The old remote systems were activated by sound. We've had some weird things happen. We've had one set that started acting up every time an airplane would go over at night. It would turn the set on. People had to unplug the set till we could find out what was wrong. It was doing it.
So anyway, I haven't seen Harry Mayette much since, but I think about that. And
Harry worked for me for about 10 or 12 years, and then he retired. But, Harry was a good employee.
He was a meat cutter.
He was a meat cutter.
A meat cutter here, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to make sure that I got to rub that $1.90 into Mr. Barcomb here, and I still have all the pictures on that. Let's go back and, well, first of all, here, one more thing, Larry. The clocks. That's been a big thing for you.
Yeah. Grandfather clocks were, when the organ business died out, we had to find another niche to go into, and we thought that grandfather clocks was the way to go. And we sold a lot of grandfather clocks. It's something that, like the organ, some people have always had the yearn to own or be able to play an organ. Well, the one finger genie chords that came out allowed a lot of people to play the organ. And then I think the same thing with clocks. A lot of people have always had a yearning to own a grandfather clock.
Mm-hmm.
And they're a beautiful item. And
Big Christmas item? Much as
more
anything?
Christmas and anniversaries.
Uh-huh.
They're a big item in June. Children get together and buy their father and mother a clock that's been married for 40 years or 50 years. You know, it's amazing.
Well-
In fact, this clock was just sold to somebody that's coming up on their 50th anniversary.
And they know it won't be too long before they get it themselves.
No.
It'll be left to them. Huh? Oh, another big thing, and it's an item you don't buy every day, but you got good selection. You got 3, right?
You got 3. We always have, at Christmas time, we'll have about half a dozen.
Okay. We'll go back and look at the other parts of the store. Larry, when we were talking with Andy, he mentioned that Barcomb's TV got so well known that they thought that it was Barcomb TV and forgot about furniture sometime. Did you realize that happens, that they don't realize all the furniture you got?
Yeah, I guess I'm a TV freak. I still enjoy selling a TV to somebody more than anything in the store.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And we've always been a big TV place. You know, I think one time I counted a few years ago and we had over 15,000 TVs out. That's a lot of TVs.
It sure is a lot of TV. A lot of enjoyment there too, you know.
Yeah.
So when you step down in here, you've got this.
This is our main living room department.
Okay.
And
Living room department. Okay.
Yeah, mainly living rooms, and we have a vast selection of recliners, and we have any color, size, and shape that you want, rockers or recliners, or a combination of both. This department does very well. We sell many recliners, especially at Christmas and holidays.
Mm-hmm.
We stock Flex Steel, which is a very high-end recliner, and it's a very good recliner, and we discount it well because, as I said, I like to sell high-end merchandise because you can discount it more, and it's really, in the end, it's a better value for the customer.
Mm-hmm. Is it hard to pick out what people are going to want, Larry?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had a salesman one time tell me, I said, I like that, or I want to buy that, and he'd advise me against it, and I say, yeah, well, I like that, but he said, you can't buy what you like.
Exactly.
You got to buy what you think the customers are going to like.
Exactly.
But you know, I found out that my own instincts were reliable 90% of the time. What some of the salesmen would push me and say, this will sell, wouldn't sell, because I didn't think it would sell, and it wouldn't sell. I think you got to believe in what you're selling if you're gonna sell it.
Now, you don't only wait till the salesmen come here. You go to shows. Is that right?
Oh yeah, we go to the furniture show in the Carolinas once a year. We try to go. We're missing it right now. In fact, the furniture show starts today in South Carolina, and where the furniture market is. But we go to the shows, and they have other shows, and not only the big main show, but they have them in Atlanta, and they have them Las Vegas, which I'd like to go to sometime. But we used to go to the electronic shows in Vegas a lot, Las Vegas. But the salesmen keep you pretty up to date. I mean, as soon as this furniture market is done here next week, I'll have salesmen coming out of my ears in the next month.
Mm-hmm. Of course, you got to remember, you don't have to listen to every word a salesman tell you. He's trying to sell you something too.
Right.
He's not in business for Barcombs, you know.
Right.
Although without Barcombs he can't continue. He's got to have. So I see you got a few bed parts in here in addition to living room.
Yeah, we
The
have
headboards?
headboards and odd bedroom
Okay.
pieces.
And all of the lamps, the types of thing, they're mostly in this room here.
Yeah, they're scattered around.
And Larry, you don't discourage people coming to look if they aren't going to buy. In other words,
No.
even if you're going to say, I don't know if I'm in the market, you want them to come and
Sure,
look, right?
Impulse buying is 50%.
I was going to say, more people buy when they don't know they're going to buy than when they are going to buy.
No,
you know?
we love to have somebody come in and just browse, because a lot of times they'll find something that they weren't even shopping for that they want.
And they aren't going to get they get pressured here?
Oh no,
Not gonna
That's
get no
something-
pressure?
Something we don't ever do is
Okay.
pressure people.
Okay. And if you feel you are being pressured, say, hey, this man said you don't get pressured. So let them know you feel it's pressure. But they're here to help you, have you look around.
We a lot of times let people say, well, we're just browsing. Okay, go ahead and look around. If you need us, just holler, and we leave them by themselves.
Mm-hmm. Now you have to look to know what you're looking at. All right. Now you hear you've got these gun cases?
Yeah, these are gun cabinets.
Okay, and regular cabinets.
And regular display cabinets. You know, people have these doll collections, and they have little miniature car collections, and they love these cabinets. They all light up, and they display their merchandise in there.
Who buys most in here, women or men?
Women.
Women, huh?
Yeah.
The
Men
other
are
one.
in the appliance and TV departments, well, especially the TV department. That's the grown-up men's toys.
Okay, we're going to go to some other areas that you probably didn't know existed till you come here and look around.
Not a
Okay, as we moved into another section, different 4 walls, different area. First thing you notice is that it's either air conditioned or there's no heat, Larry. Which is it in here?
There's no heat.
No heat in here.
I said, as I just told you, our motto is we keep the heat down so we can keep the prices down.
Okay.
When fuel oil, when we opened up, it was like 16 cents a gallon, and we used to heat this whole building, but now we can't. That's it's a warehouse showroom. You know, it's warehousing really, but under showroom conditions.
All right. Now, while we were walking down, Calvin reminded me, somewhere along the way, you built the original building and you had all your TV and appliances. You decided to go beyond TVs. And what did you go beyond and what did you add?
Well, we went into furniture because of the great response we had. When we first opened, it was just unbelievable. Within 6 months, we added on another addition. We doubled our size in 6 months after we opened. And then it seemed like every year we added on another addition for the next 5 or 6 years we're open. So we've got 18,000 square feet here now, and it's we haven't added on now for 15 years, but we've got a lot of additions into one big factory, really.
Did the assessor always follow you up on these additions?
They always caught us within a year or so. Yeah.
You got reassessed this time too, like everybody. I'm not asking you how much, but
Oh, yeah, we get reassessed all the time.
Yeah.
I'm sure when everybody else does, but these buildings are getting to be older now. I would hope the assessment would drop a little bit, but they seem to be going up instead, I think.
well, you know, supposed to be market value.
Yeah.
All right. So you added the furniture. Then did you have the appliance? When did you add the
Well,
appliances?
the appliances came second, right after the TVs.
Okay.
The appliances actually came before we opened the main store. I was selling appliances out of my garage too. So the main thing was appliances and TVs when we opened up the store, but I didn't have enough room. I mean, I had too much room. I didn't have the building filled up when I was getting ready to open. I said, I can't buy all these appliances and TVs to fill up this big room. So I went over and bought a couple loads of furniture in Burlington, Vermont, and that's how we started in that.
And then came a time, obviously, for carpeting. Is that
Well, carpeting came a couple years after we were opened the main building. Yeah, then we went into carpeting.
it just naturally flows when you got
Just actually
furniture?
furniture, yeah.
People buying furniture, probably getting into a new place and
Yep.
need carpeting.
Yeah.
Is carpeting a big thing?
Oh, yes. Carpeting is one of our better businesses right now.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of carpeting.
I can remember when we first got married, you didn't think much about carpeting. You bought furniture. You didn't have the money for carpeting,
Yeah,
you know?
right.
But today, more and more. All right, as we go. Okay, just walk through here. We saw some more living room. Now here's another small room. Must have been another addition. And again, what are we looking at now? These are
the glider recliners and just the odd chairs, the sitting chairs that you'd want in your parlor to a reading chair or a bedroom chair. And the moms love these, the new moms, the rock the babies, you know, the gliders.
So when you say, like, the people say, we're just looking, you say, go ahead, and they come back here and then they get a pretty good idea if they're thinking of this type of a chair, what's available.
You give them a map?
No, we haven't lost the customer yet.
You haven't lost it. But now, Larry, when you get into furniture, you need space.
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
Furniture
Lots of
takes
space.
Lots of space.
Lots of space. One general question. There must be something, like you say, in a room like this, that let's say that second chair from the corner over there has been here for 8 years or so many years. What do? Do you finally get rid of it? You want to get it out of here?
Get rid of it.
Because people say, you never change your furniture.
You see that orange one there? That's
Yes.
gotta go.
It's got to go because
been
people
here.
come in and say, that's been here for years. You don't sell your furniture.
Yeah, you sell it below cost, like that TV you
Like
just
TV,
bought.
yes.
You know, I sold it for half what it cost me.
I think at the time you mentioned to me that it was the only one north of Albany.
Oh yeah, I'm
You know?
sure there's none. I don't think there's another one in New York, probably in New York
Well,
State.
And it's still working, although some of the controls are tough because the controls were in the front, or the back rather, but you had to operate them from the front. So they did it with rubber bands, and those have deteriorated. In the back are some bedding.
Yeah, it's a bedroom.
Let's go back. Let's go back and see a bedroom department then. And then it goes right over to the carpet room. Oh yes, okay.
See, we have another room here that's like a small bedroom department.
Wow. Yeah.
Tim, turn that light on over there. This is just other bedrooms. we have some nice stuff. This solid oak bedroom stuff that we just took this line on a year ago, and it's a very beautiful line. Quality merchandise.
That's a king size.
King size bed.
Mm-hmm.
And we've sold so much bedding lately, we have a queen size mattress set up with it, but that's to be cured soon when we got another load coming in this week.
What's the biggest change in your business? Would you say if people go into nicer bedrooms, or they go into nicer living rooms, or more dining rooms? What's the?
Well, you got to qualify your customers, Bob.
Okay.
The young kids starting out want something inexpensive. That's all they can afford. But you get guys your age. Your wife wants something nice, and that's when she wants to pay a decent price, but to get a really good piece of merchandise, like a solid oak bedroom set or a solid oak dining room or something.
Is it easier to sell that young couple or that older couple?
I think it's easier to sell the young couple. They just want to buy something, and they pretty much don't care about price or anything. If they see what they want, then they're going to buy
it's
it.
so much a month. Now the older guys, I got that money in the bank, and I'm not taking that out because I'd rather have it in the bank than an oak set, very possible, you know.
It's easy, as I said before, the torch is being passed. It's easier for me to sell a person my age, your age, but now my sons are getting into the younger people that come in. They don't even ask for the old man anymore. Where's Randy or where's Bruce? Because they know it's their age group, and they know more about what they want, I think, and what they're interested in.
Trends change then.
Trends change.
All right. As we go, just again, we're heading in toward the carpet room, and there's another section here.
This is my junk room.
What's that mean? These are things
It
that
means there are things that, well, not all of them. These are some new chairs, but the things that are not selling.
that orange chair in there, for instance, might come in here.
Might come in here, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that orange chair. Just that Larry made a wrong decision when he bought it.
Yeah.
Pretty nice lamp over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is that? It looks like a.
That lamp in the corner is
Yeah.
a nice lamp, and I've marked it way down, and it still doesn't sell.
Pawn shop.
Well, you know, things you just.
If that is set up on a glass table in the right place, that's a beautiful lamp, really. But I mean, most people won't buy it in this area.
But don't you find that when you see a lamp like that in a room like this in the corner, it doesn't. You can never picture what it's going to look like somewhere else.
That's right. That's right.
You know.
Look at some of these lamps. Some of these lamps are old and hideous.
Yeah.
they were a bad judgment on my part
Yeah.
when I bought these, but some of those lamps have been here for 8-10 years, those old lamps.
Yeah. Well, and you got to get rid of them. That's what you do. Try to get rid of them.
Bring them home.
Bring them to your house. Don't like them that well.
Some of them probably came back from my house.
Now this is a good turnover room.
Yeah, this is
This is helping to run Barcombs right here.
right. This is probably one of our most profitable businesses that we have right now.
And
this
per
carpet.
square foot, even more so, right?
Yeah, well,
You don't take a lot of room.
And we stock. I don't think anybody in this area stocks the amount of carpet that we stock. We always. That's the secret to success. If there's any secret to my success, is having the merchandise available for people to look at. I've always believed in a full store.
You believe that people say, "Well, I can get it for you, and I can get it in 4 days." They want it today, many times.
And they want to see what they're buying.
Yeah.
Most people don't want to buy out of a catalog, or they want to order and think it's going to look like what the sample shows them is supposed to be. And they can see it right on the roll, and the furniture they can see on the floor. And a full barn, as I call it, is what sells.
You know, I haven't bought a lot of carpeting. The most carpeting I bought has been for my garage for the summer. We've done it twice, and both times it's come from here. You've had some closeout deals and some good deals for our patio room in the garage, and there's a lot of carpet in here. There's a lot of carpet, huh?
There's probably 10,000 square yards in all in here.
But you know, to a person who don't know much about carpet, it don't tell me very much, you know. But it is a lot of carpeting.
Well, you got all kind of textures. We got the stained masters, and we got the commercial carpets, which people use in kitchens, and they use it on porches or basements, or like you said, in your garage floor.
Mm-hmm.
And the carpet business is an excellent business right now. It's something that most people spend quite a bit of money on. They spend almost as much money on carpeting as they do on furniture.
I think this is lasting in many cases,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, well, everybody has carpet now in their bedrooms, their living room.
What should a person look for in carpet, Larry?
Well, you got to look at density. You got to look at how many plies it is per square inch, face weight, backing on it. First thing you got to look for is the dealer. They'll give you a good deal.
Okay, how do you find that? Barcomb.
Barcomb.
No, but how do you know if you're getting a good deal? Everybody's going to give you a good
Well,
deal.
it's hard to tell. It's a thing that's it can be very misleading. You can buy a piece of carpet that's really not very good quality and not know it because it looks like good quality stuff.
One way I would think is to ask somebody, if anyone who's bought carpeting there, ask them about what they're, say, hey, he told me this and it didn't work out that way. Didn't he make it good? No. Well, then I'd say, well, think about.
That's been our success, Bob, is referrals.
I would think. Larry, you got to realize that people like Calvin and I, what the heck do we know about carpeting? You say this has got good density, and I tell my wife it's good density. Larry said so. Yeah. I don't know, and this is nice and soft, and I think.
See, this is like 20-ounce carpet, and you can buy something that looks like it that's 14-ounce carpet, and the average guy wouldn't know the difference.
Okay, so you always look for at least 20?
No, I mean 14-ounce will do the job for you in some areas, but you wouldn't want to put a 14-ounce carpet in your kitchen where you have a lot of traffic.
Okay. Maybe somebody wouldn't necessarily tell me that because they're working on price, right? Okay. You also, when we talk about floor covering, we're not just talking rugs. We're talking all kinds of floor covering, right?
Yeah, vinyl. Yeah. This industry has been into a big change. It's gone into a big change. They went wild here about 4 or 5 years ago, and all of a sudden you were paying $40 a yard for vinyl, which is 10 times what carpet is, and it just didn't hold up. It didn't last. These high gloss sheeny shines to them would start flaking off, and they went to a big problem with having to replace a lot of this stuff, and now it's getting back into medium price where you can buy $14, $15 yard stuff. A lot of this stuff was ridiculous. It was up to $42, $43 a yard.
Let me tell you just one advice from a older person. If you like this pattern right here, and you think that's nice, make sure you think you're going to like it nice in 5 years from today, because if you get something that's drastic, and I find this a little drastic, all right, personally, you got to make sure you want that in 5 years, because that gets darker and more pronounced every year. We did that in our floor. We put tile and we made some kind of patterns in it. Well, we thought it would look nice, but it wasn't many years. We said, my, that's, we're getting sick of that. Yeah. You wouldn't get sick of something like this as much, maybe, but something like this is you either like it a lot or you're not going to like it in a period of time. But you tell them that too, I assume, right?
Oh, yeah.
You let them know that.
We try to stay away from unless we get a good buy on it. Sometimes the buy is so good that you can't refuse it, even though you know it's a little bit loud. Like that pattern, for instance.
Mm-hmm. I mean that's a lot of pattern there.
This is a superior quality piece of goods, but like you say, you gotta like it, and you gotta have the right place for it.
Okay.
These are remnants, odds and ends, that's left over from the job. They're at the end of the roll, and then when you get down to the last 5 feet in the roll, you roll it up and you sell it to somebody for what they need.
I bought a couple of times, first time from my garage that way. I needed a lot of it, and you had a lot, but it was, it could be a little shorted, no problem.
I'd like to sell you that top roll.
I wouldn't necessarily. That again is one of those, like I say, you could get tired of that very quickly,
Surprise, Surprise your wife.
I would surprise it.
Larry's mistake.
Years ago, I'll always remember when we first got married, and I can tell you, I was making $2,400 a year, and I traveled, and I was gone, and I did a lot of work on my road. I didn't work hard, but I was gone a lot. And I came home, and I told her I'd been to an auction on a Saturday, and I said I bought a table and chair. And she said, we were living upstairs where my daughter lives now, over McCrae's, and she said, I hope it isn't a chrome table. I said, oh my gosh, it was a chrome table with the gray Formica top, and she never outlived that table. And I didn't pay that much, but it's all we could afford, and of course, if I'd known, I wouldn't have bought the chrome, but she never liked it. And you should check with your spouse when you're going to buy something like that.
For sure.
And I won't. How did you happen to get that roll up there?
Goodbye.
A goodbye.
A goodbye. The guy gave it to me for about half price of what it normally sold for because he wanted to get rid of it. And I've offered it for half price now, and I'm still not getting rid of it.
You know, Larry, when we used to go to the trophy shows, when I had the trophy business, I'd go to trophy shows, and I bought a lot of closeouts, you know. And one man told me when I said, no, I don't buy all his new, I buy some of the closeouts. I said, you know why they're closeouts? I said, no. He said, no one else wanted them. And that's sometimes when you're getting a price, it's for that reason, not because it's a remnant. But some of this is remnants, and they can get a good price on if you need a small piece of carpet.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay. We'll move along, and we'll take a break right now. And it's so pronounced.
See, that's a showpiece.
Okay. This is very pronounced, Larry, also. You'd have to like it or you don't like it, one or the other.
Yeah, it's a solid piece of pine. It's a beautiful big bedroom set. And you want to sell this often. You want to turn it over probably only once every year or 2 years so you get the right customer.
What do you expect furniture to turn over based on inventory? Should you turn it over once a year, everything? Twice?
No, furniture, I think once a year it would be very good. If
Very
you turn
good?
everything. I mean, there's certain items that'll turn over 3 or 4 times a year. But
Certainly a unit like this will have a lot more appeal to a larger group than the one over here, this black and gas. Now this won't affect maybe 8 out of 10 people won't even look at it.
Right.
But this one here, maybe 6 out of 10 would look and maybe not buy it, but they're going to look. This one here is a completely different. Either you like it or you don't. You know.
Right. It's for young people.
I can see that the single.
Yeah, people just starting in the apartments, young kids, they love that type of goods.
Okay, then there's some more bedrooms down here.
Our mattress department, everything.
Oh, these are your even on the bed you got mattresses you're selling here.
Yeah.
Showed how they look, and you can. Now that's the king size.
Big king size.
Is king size big today?
Well, we're selling more and more of it. I think we sold like 2 king size mattresses this past week. King size bedding is get to be much more popular. It's not the bedding is not so expensive, so much more expensive, but it's the covers, the sheets, and everything. You know, it's a whole new ball game. You got to buy everything new.
Explain to me how you get that up in many of the old farmhouses.
Well,
Stairways.
The box spring is split in half. And you can fold the mattress to a point, but there's a lot of places you can't get it upstairs.
I can't even get up a regular mattress up in that little apartment, that house I own rather on South Street.
A lot of them. I've got a lot of stories I could tell you. We ain't got time, I'm sure. But I had a guy, Bruce Stiles, you know, he was a former state trooper up here. He bought a queen size mattress from me and couldn't get it up the stairs. And he went with a chainsaw right outdoors and pulled his window out and sawed down the house and pushed his mattress in.
Well, I thought of buying a set to leave up there and leave it like you would a refrigerator because you just can't get it up. The box spring you can't. The mattress you can fool a little bit, and I have to remove the stair threads, and it gives me an extra inch or so. Larry, I noticed as we were talking about appliances, and Bruce was talking about a used appliance. Now, you take in sometimes appliances?
We take in used appliances. It's very hard to get rid of them today. It's very expensive. If you take a refrigerator, it's not worth repairing. Cost you about $30 to have the Freon removed, and it has to be tagged by a qualified technician. And this Freon gas has to be captured now and sent away to Indiana, and it's a very expensive operation. So, for somebody to say, "I'll buy a new refrigerator and take my old one away," it becomes a problem because it's like a $30 problem now.
So do you sell some of the used ones that can be repaired?
Oh yeah, if they can be repaired, we sell them. Yeah.
And you sell used appliances a little bit?
A little bit when we take
stoves,
something in
refrigerator, washer, dryer sometimes.
Washer, dryer. Very few washers. They're an item that once they've been used a lot, it's hard to repair them.
Because you know sometimes if your washer goes, you get rid of your dryer because you want a pair, and you'd have a good dryer.
Dryers are good.
Yeah, dryers don't have an awful lot of parts.
Right. Electric ranges is the same way. They can be repaired, but a wash machine and dishwashers are the 2 used items that are hard to repair and inexpensive.
Okay. You can see the amount of floor space, as you mentioned here. 18,000 don't mean a lot to some people, but it's a lot of floor space.
Yeah, we got mattress warehouse right there beyond those doors.
All kinds of mattresses.
All kinds of mattresses.
Is that?
I want to know why he's selling this lamp. It's obviously been there since he opened up.
And what's nice about the lamp is you have a place to hang your clothes right here at night when you go to bed.
You know where that lamp came from? That came from Taylor's Furniture.
It did it? Was in there?
When I bought Taylor's Furniture out.
I'll tell you, wait till I see Mark Taylor. That doesn't look like something that I ever remember there. You know, I can remember, Mark, we bought our furniture there when we first got married, and he was a person that never pressured us, Larry. Never pressured, and if he didn't have it, he'd send me someplace, you know, and he'd say, this is the place to go, and that's awfully nice to for referrals. Okay, so people don't come out here much and look, but this is your supply. Yeah. What's moving today the most of anything?
Queen size bedding.
You know something you don't see anymore? Is 3/4. When I got married, we had 2 3/4 bedding.
We can special order that.
You can.
Yeah.
And at that time, single, 3/4, or full size were all the same price.
Yeah,
You remember that?
I remember that.
And today they're all
They're
different.
all different. That was crazy because I think it was because certainly a twin size bedding didn't cost you as much as a queen.
Yeah, but you paid the same for single.
Here's something else that's different, Bob. You know what's different about that?
Just that it's fancy.
No,
Cover
it's-
no.
We got big kids today. That's 6 inches longer. That's the extra long twin size.
Ah, that has. Oh.
6 inches longer because of the fact that the people today are just getting to be bigger. We're getting to be a bigger.
How long has that been happening?
Oh, the last 4 or 5 years, there's a lot of kids that are 6'2", 6'4", and they're just too big for a regular
I
bed.
didn't notice that. Yes. Right. That's why I had a 3/4 bed so that I could stretch out sideways. You know, we had twin beds and they were 3/4 instead of singles, so you could cut a stretch off at an angle on them.
Well, most people today are buying queen size.
Queen size, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Calvin's having door troubles.
Trouble. Yeah, because even the older people, we're a bigger generation today, and,
Well-
and the full-size bed is not big enough anymore.
Mm-hmm. I guess we've seen most of your downstairs today. We can go upstairs and get a look. Be right back. Please stay tuned to Hometown Cable. Wow. We've come up to the second floor, and Calvin's still down over the furniture department, over that area where we saw all the what chairs were those back there? You know.
The recliners.
The recliners, and we're up into another area, a large expanse. Again, it takes a lot of room for furniture, and this is mostly tables, dining areas, and
This is all dining room tables. Yeah, dining room tables, buffet and hutches.
is the furniture always together when you get it, or they come in 2 parts and you?
No, it comes in 2 parts. We have to assemble it. A lot of it. Of course, the chairs and everything are always together. But, well, I shouldn't say that. Like you take these swivel chairs, the backs are off and the bases are off. They come like in the 3 pieces. You have to be assembled.
You assemble those here, yes. So Larry, you've got a large, different kinds of dining room here. You know, the tables are very. You go from
solid cherry and you go to solid oak, and then you go to a modern metal type dinettes, and we have a large spectrum of different designs. And
over the period of years, have you learned what to keep away from, or you still get caught every once in a while?
we still have Larry's mistakes now and then. But,
Well,
but
you know.
you gain a lot of experience over the years of what you think your customers want, and then most of the time you're right.
Of course, the trouble is, you say you're a customer. We bought a dining room set here, and we're never going to buy another one. It's a one-time deal, you know.
Well, we'd like to sell you more than once, but maybe you'll be so happy because you bought a good dining room, you'll come back and buy a couch. Or
Yes, but that wouldn't help you to get another dining room set that I want to be interested in. See, my dining room set, if it's good for 600 uses, right? It's good for another 200 years in my house. We don't use our dining room set.
Well, your grandchildren will use it.
They don't. I guess that'll be what it is. I think that's probably what it is. We don't use a lot, but they're very nice. Formica. Now this is natural wood, right?
No, that's a Formica.
That's a Formica. I think that is the great invention when they did this, so you don't have to worry about that.
It saved a lot of damage on natural wood. If you put something hot down onto it, you scorched it.
Yeah.
Where
And it looked very nice.
yeah, you just. Had
I
a hard
wasn't
time
sure.
telling
I wasn't sure. No,
Yeah.
exactly. I wasn't sure. Bookcases, as such, you sell bookcases.
Well,
that a big thing?
No.
No, huh?
Really. Well, that's like a bookcase hutch, but it's really made for dishes. And,
Uh-huh.
and these don't sell that well because of the fact they're open, and most people want their dishes under glass to keep the dust off and so forth.
Larry, financial a little bit now. You don't have to answer this, but there's a lot of money tied up in here. Is this mostly something you bought on an accounts receivable and have since paid for, or is any of this on floor plan?
No, this is all.
It all belongs to
all
Barcomb.
paid for. Yeah, there's no floor plan on furniture.
Okay. I'm not saying that you don't have loans. I'm not interested in that. But you don't, like some items, appliances, you have floor planning, which means that
Right.
you have so many months before you have to really pay for it.
And so many months are before you get into an interest period.
Yes.
And then you have so many more months before you have to pay for it.
But another thing, you don't have the inventory on appliances that you have on something like tables.
Yeah, but appliances is expensive in furniture. And TVs. You can't believe the amount of money tied up into a small area. Furniture is not as expensive as you buy a TV and it's $600, $700, $800, and some of the dining rooms, well, they can be up that much now, but you had a lot of dining rooms that were $200 and $300. So, and a dining room takes up 8-10 feet, where that little TV only takes up a 2-foot square.
Yeah.
So you get into that one major area down there, electronics especially, you can get a lot of money in one small room.
But when you look at the inventory you got here, if I were guessing your inventory, I mean, I haven't got much to go on, at retail price, you're talking over $250,000?
Yes.
Huh?
At wholesale.
At wholesale, over $250,000. And remember, and that's to have something here, and not only Larry, but any of these dealers, that's to have something there that you want so you can look at it.
Right.
And not say, well, look, we make this same table in a square one, or we make that in a square. You want to see it, because it isn't always what you thought. What's your best moving type up here?
Oh, the maple and oak, probably this oak.
This here?
7-piece oak.
Good
set,
mover, like
yeah.
those type of chairs over
Yeah,
there, a good
right,
mover.
right.
I would think that would be a good mover.
Right. Double pedestal tables like this set here, a lot of people are going for this. And like you say, with the Formica tops today,
Uh-huh.
the double pedestal table, it looks like dining room furniture that, like the old people used to use 3 times a year, but this is so durable now you can
Yes.
use it every day.
I don't see any really big hutches up here.
No,
You carry-
hutches is almost a thing of the past.
Is that right?
Yeah, people just aren't buying a lot of big hutches anymore. We used to sell a lot of them.
Yeah, I remember when we were looking for a dining room, we had a very small dining room. We wanted a big, and our hutch, I think, was 6 feet wide,
Yeah, yeah.
Big, very big. And
I don't know if you noticed, but downstairs I have one big dining room down there with a big hutch, and I've been trying to sell it now for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to sell.
do people have as many dining rooms as they used to have?
I don't think formal dining rooms are a big deal up here anymore.
Yeah.
I think
See,
people.
we just don't use ours like we would, normal.
I think you make, like I said, they make the normal furniture so durable today with the Formica tops
Mm-hmm.
and that people's kitchens today are almost like dining rooms used to be.
Yep. What we've noticed is that the chairs are the ones that get a little loose because of the dryness in the house and so forth. This table over there, to me, is very practical. We have a, what's that called?
Old
Harvest table?
Harvest table, yeah.
That is very practical. You put both sides down, you got a normal table. We keep one side up, makes it a little bit wider. And that's against the wall, and that's in the kitchen. And Larry, I noticed you've got carpeting all over.
Yeah, you have to dress it up a little bit in order to display your furniture properly.
When you start vacuuming, you got a lot of vacuuming to do.
Yeah,
You handle vacuums too?
yeah. Not many. It's not a big business for us, but it's part of the business.
This is a.
This is a race car bed for a small youngster.
Mm-hmm.
Young boys, 3-4 years old, love it. They can sleep right in the car.
Okay, have we seen just about overall everything you've got for
Yeah.
space, basically, huh?
Just about, yeah.
Haven't seen the appliances yet.
No.
Oh, we got to go back. That's right. You're right.